In this section, we're going to talk about the actual job application, the online form you're filling out, or maybe you're filling this form out in person and or live in a written format. Typically, it's done online, but you can also have sometimes when you are maybe applying online, then they'll have you come in for an interview and they'll say, here, fill out this job application before you start your interview. So when you go to an interview, and we'll talk about this more in the interview section, make sure you have all your information so you can fill out these job applications, because they'll look for dates of employment and other types of things that detail information you might need to have at your ready. So in the perfect world, you don't even have to apply for a job, right? They find you, right? They find you from an internal recommendation, somebody that knows you, maybe someone through your network or a friend, a family member. They find you through LinkedIn. They're out searching for LinkedIn. They might not even post the job, and they just reach out to you, and maybe other candidates too through LinkedIn. A lot of companies do that, as you saw. 87% of people are recruiting and looking for people on LinkedIn. Or they find you from when you upload your resume or CV to a job aggregator or a job board. In addition to LinkedIn, maybe like Indeed or onto Monster or some type of association job bank or something like that. And they love you and they hire you immediately. If it was only so true, and it can happen. It's not real common, especially if it's a real competitive job that a lot of people are applying for. But it can happen, and it has happened. I talked about earlier in the course how my wife, earlier in her career, getting an accounting job when she decided to move from one company to another, and started her search to let a friend know, and that friend was in a company of 10 people, and the CEO was tired of doing accounting, so he wanted to keep growing the company, so she had an interview and was literally hired the next day. She still had to fill out a form as far as the job application, but it can be that easy. But that's not very common. What's more common? Sometimes you're applying for many jobs. It can seem like thousands of jobs and many interviews as you go through this process. And it can be frustrating. It can be disappointment on that road. Frustrating, it seems out of your control. Maybe you've had, this has happened to me, where I've had a great interview process. I was right about to the part where they're going to give me an offer, and the company decides to put a hiring freeze on. Right? Because all of a sudden they fell in hard times or they lost a big client. I don't know, but all of a sudden they called me and said, "Boy, we love you, Steve. We'd love to hire you, but we can't hire anybody right now because the company's in trouble." Like, well, and maybe I dodged the bullet. Maybe that was a good thing for me because I didn't get with a company that struggled and maybe continued to struggle. So those things can happen too, and it can really hurt your confidence too, as far as when those things happen, or they fill it with an internal candidate. But there is some good news about a successful job search, and the good news is, that it really becomes a numbers game at some point here, right? And you can improve your odds through either quantity or quality. Quantity means you're blasting out a resume, you're applying to lots and lots of jobs, and so at some point, the numbers will work in your favor. Unfortunately, that can be a real frustrating thing with the quantity aspect only, particularly. That's why we want to do quality. We want to target jobs. We want to really polish ourselves, polish our LinkedIn profile, polish our resume and CV, really develop those interview skills and be ready for any type of question that can hit us, which is coming up in the course, all that great section on a whole bunch of interview questions that you can be prepared for. So that's how you can improve your odds, and particularly from the quality standpoint. And just think as you go through this, as you're filling out all these job applications, that others have done it. Others have applied for jobs and gone through the process and gotten hired. So why not you? You've got great value. Think about your past successes. Review your resume or CV to look at all the different things you've done, all the measurable accomplishments you've had. You've done great. There's lots of things you can find that you can then explain to a potential employer that you can kind of put yourself in that best light. But it all starts with the actual job application itself. So you got to fill out that job application. And remember, employers, when I talk to employers, they're always talking about they can never find great people, right? Or we have a hard time filling positions. Now, some big brand name companies that might be getting thousands of applications maybe don't have that. They might have a hard time sorting through the applications. But most companies, it's always hard to find great people and fill positions. That's why they have these extensive job search, and they pay money to post their jobs in these different boards or on different sites or whatever to try to find great candidates. All right, got whole people that all they do is recruit for human resources, for example, because they need you. They need you in particular. And it all starts with starting to apply for jobs in an effective manner. And as you do that, that's what gets the whole process one-on-one with a company started, was when you fill out that first job application and send them your information. Usually it's done online. We're uploading it to their system that captures all that information, and they start looking at you, and then hopefully they'll start setting up an interview for you. So let's look in a little more detail around the actual job applications themselves. What are some of the core components, and what are some things to be aware of when it comes to the actual job application, and maybe some things you never had known before.